Hey there, welcome back. Mike Williams with Genesis, and thanks for coming back and spending a few minutes with us on this next lesson. What do we call this one? We're calling this the barbell economy. You know, we're living in times where we have sort of forgotten how much better things are today than they used to be. We tend to remember only the most recent events, and whenever there's economic or political or geopolitical stress, we remember those things, but we don't remember how far we've come. You know, people don't remember the time before smartphones and before email, and when you had to wait 7 days to get a letter in business over to the West Coast so you could do business. Or when you had to wait till you got back in your car, or excuse me, out of your car into your office to get those little pink slips that say, hey, you got a call. Imagine those times, and then think about how much better it's going to get in the future. Why do we say that? Well, we're contrary investors. We tend to think good when most are afraid, and we get a little nervous when everybody's excited. People are definitely not excited, but they should be. We're trying to express to clients that we're in the middle of a unique window in time for the United States. And that is that we have two major secular waves of activity taking place on a demographic basis that creates what we call a barbell economy. What does that mean? That means two huge events on either end of the demographic roadway, if you will. On the far end is the baby boom generation. We've all been told to be terrified that they're retiring. We're going to show you why that's not something to be afraid of. And then, of course, something that everyone is overlooking, that's Generation Y. We know how much money we made if we just followed the baby boomers through their lifetime. Let me tell you about Gen Y for a second. They're 1.22 times larger. In other words, whatever big things happened in the economy as the baby boom grew up, it's going to be even bigger as Gen Y grows up. They're just beginning to hit that front edge of getting out of the house, getting finished with college, getting their first job, buying their first car, renting their first apartment. All of those economic events, millions and millions of people will go through over the next 20 years. So we've got these two huge things that we can focus on. And why do we want to focus on big things? Well, because then we can stop worrying about the little things. And why do we want to say stop worrying about the little things? Don't react to Wednesday's headline, because if something's going to happen for 30 years, why do you need to worry about Wednesday's headline? Too many investors have been improperly taught that because they now have information, and by the way, we get information every single millisecond of the day, well, we must think we've got to do something about it. Well, we try to tell people ignore about 98% of it, which means out of 365 days a year, there might be 10 days where something happens that you ought to be noticing. The rest, you can just stay focused on your long-term investment plan, because these two things, the baby boom and the actions they're going to take for the next 25 years, and Gen Y and the actions they're going to take for the next 25 or 30 years, are going to be mind-boggling. And if we just think of it this way, think of it, let's say you and I are sitting on the beach, and we're looking out on the horizon, and there's this gigantic wave. And it might be miles away from shore still. We have a choice. We can stand on the beach and we can say to ourselves, boy, that wave is going to eventually hit the beach and it's going to wash right over us. Or we can paddle out and catch the wave in. So that's how we want to think about what we call these secular waves. They're going to last for a long time. And because they are, with proper planning and proper discipline and proper patience, which is the hallmark of all good investment plans, we're going to be able to just stand in front of this wave and ride all those changes into shore. They're going to be significant changes. There's going to be huge tailwinds behind some sectors of the economy, and there's going to be a little friction and headwind on other sectors. It's going to be important to know these two ends of the barbell and how they're going to affect those particular sectors. The massive momentum that Gen Y is going to bring into our economic system is almost completely misunderstood right now. We're going to continue trying to share some of these lessons with you in hopes that we can get you off of the day-to-day worries and focus on the big 10, 20, and 30-year cycles, because that's where real wealth is going to be built. That's where you can be patient. That's where you can do all the right things, and that is the disciplined process of letting these waves take you into shore. So again, thanks very much for your time. We hope some of these ideas are valuable for you. Make sure you get to our podcast. We're on iTunes under Investor Insights, hosted by Mike Williams. Thanks again for your time. We'll see you on the next lesson. Have a great week. Deemed something that is repeated often that we'd like to call the 5 most expensive words in investing. And let me tell you what those are.